There we are. Well, good evening. And on behalf of District 1, my name is Darren Hudson. I'm going to be monitoring the meeting tonight. And Doug Thompson, another AVP of ours, is going to be backup. And Andy Argenio, our District VP, is here. I'll let him say a quick welcome. Just a preface, Andy and I have been dealing with some family and some medical issues all month. I've got coughing issues going on. And Andy will explain his situation. So if you see us disappear, we're not being rude, and Doug's our backup. So Andy, hello.
Hello. Well, welcome everybody. Tonight I think Mark's going to be giving us a talk on membership and retention. And so we've been discussing it, we've been talking about it, we've been doing it, and we'll give him an opportunity to do that shortly. In my case, I'm prepping for a colonoscopy. I just drank two of them, the drinks down, and I'm about ready to leave. So I'm going to let Darren take over, but I'll be popping back in again. I think Darren wants to probably introduce a video initially, just to give it a little background on what we've been doing here in District 1, and that'll all kind of fit in with what Mark's going to be talking about in terms of membership and how they're going to be looking forward to addressing it going forward.
Great. Andy, thanks a lot. And our primary reason for tonight is Mark Feist. He's a AVP from District 3. Mark's going to be doing an introduction of the growth and retention plan from the Marketing and Membership Committee. But before we do that, I wanted to give you a little introduction of District 1 outreach. We've been on this since 2018 or before. Andy and I were just talking about looking at the advanced plans from headquarters from 2018. And we basically took that list really seriously. And we've developed this ADOT program, AMA District Outreach Team, to expand what Mark's going to talk about in a little bit. And our video that we want to debut tonight, it's only a few minutes, and it's twofold. One, to introduce what we've been doing over those years and where it's come to. We never had all the stock photography and the videos that we had before, and now we have a full file full of those, and we were able to create a nice promotional video on what we do. So that not only introduces us, but for the folks that are here at this meeting tonight, and the others on the team that will be seeing this, it's a real celebration for them, and it's something we're really proud of, and we hope they're proud of it too, because it shows all the work that we've been doing. And I want to introduce my fellow AVP, Doug Thompson. He's a fairly new AVP in District 1. I've been an AVP for about 10 years here. We've got several of our AVPs on this call, and appreciate all of them coming. They've really been instrumental at helping pull this together. And so have our clubs, our leader members, our whole district. And that's our whole point, is expanding this beyond club boundaries to embrace the entire district as sort of a regional army for this movement for promotional and marketing. So I'm going to hand it over to Doug. Doug, why don't you and I stay on audio until we get it going? If everyone else can please stop their video and their audio while we do this this little video debut, it'll help give us a chance to have that be the best quality possible. It's still just a little bit choppy, and we'll be having this on our AMA District 1 YouTube channel, on our website, and it'll also be on our Facebook groups, the private one for our outreach team, and also the district Facebook group. So after you see it tonight, please share it. It's going to be live later on tonight or tomorrow. All right. Thanks very much. And Doug, you should be sharing.
Got it.
You got it?
Get it up. And optimize.
I'll wait till you get on, and then I'll mute mine. All right, there we go. We're good. So if everybody mutes their video and audio, that'd be great.
All right. Enjoy the show, guys.
Over the past 5 years, the Academy of Model Aeronautics District 1 Outreach Team, or ADOT, has been cultivated and refined to bring a new method of enjoyment and marketing to the hobby. Encompassing our motto of entertain, educate, and engage, we have shown thousands how the AMA helps bring fun into learning, connecting our hobby to career paths or a new passion. Our team utilizes skill sets from all age groups and all facets of the hobby, from clubs around the district to best create a well-rounded team. Not all of us are skilled pilots, photographers, teachers, or storytellers, but together we make up the pieces that complete the puzzle. For existing members who are passionate about modeling, this provides a new form of enjoyment many find addictive. Putting on displays at major local events and air shows, we show our passion off at the highest levels, both in the air and on the ground, giving new members a connection to numerous clubs and characters within the model aviation community. At the same time, gaining interest through model aircraft airshow events, raffles, simulators, classroom visits, scout events, UAS for STEM events, expos, and more. We entertain the public. Then, we educate through showing the value and possibilities unlocked through modeling. Finally, we can engage with our collective ability to relate to any age or interest, with our variety of team members to give a full, interactive aeromodeling experience. This year, our goal was to spread the knowledge that we exist to the community. Many answer the first question in our presentations incorrectly. What is the AMA? We aim to change that, creating a strong connection with fundraising events and other educational programs like the FAA STEM Aviation and Space Education Program, Scouts of America, Laconia's ACE camps, and others is key to the team's success. Branching out into classrooms, senior centers, and expos, with the AMA name and value proposition out on display to introduce to educators and potential members of all ages and backgrounds. Many enthusiastic members are trying to find their voice and a means to help in the way that best fits their skills within the hobby. By creating a diverse and demanding team, it gives them the outlet that we're looking for. We've all witnessed a relatively low percentage of volunteer participation at club levels and a lack of outreach, some do, but often lack follow-through or a clear message. Promoting just one club rather than the AMA as a nationwide CBO of diverse interests. The district outreach team concept pools available resources and volunteers from all clubs into a team environment with a clear goal to provide a consistent message and promote the value proposition through our entertain, educate, and engage method. A rewarding opportunity to enjoy the hobby and something for them to take back to their clubs to share on a peer-to-peer level. Combine this with the new growth and retention plan, and we will expand and enhance effectiveness exponentially. With the collaboration of staff and members, the proper funding, and the right people behind it, this could blossom. As seen in the AMA snapshot, the ADOT has the potential to become a nationwide initiative engaging all districts with their own unique teams, getting the word out, and growing the AMA back into a household name.
Thanks, Doug.
Absolutely, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Let me stop share.
Okay.
Oh,
All right, so that gives you an idea of what we've been up to and how we see this blending right into what we're going to segue right now into Mark Feist. I want to introduce Mark. He's a District 3 AVP, and he just did a roundtable with leader members and AVPs recently, and he's going to do his presentation tonight. So please give him your attention. I'm going to have the chat. I will monitor it. So if you have questions throughout the presentation, write your questions in the chat and we can bring those up when Mark wants to introduce a question and answer period. I think he wants to go through it all at once if possible. So use the chat function. If everybody knows where that is, it should be down in the bottom of your screen, and just do a chat to everyone and I'll be monitoring that. So thank you.
At the same time, Darren, if we have relevant questions with the smaller group here, we can be interactive if you want.
Okay, very good.
So either one works for me. And after seeing that video, I was just going to make a motion to adjourn. Sounds like you got it covered.
Well, the nice thing about it, Mark, is it's going national now, and that's been our dream, is to have it go national.
Yeah, and that's exciting to see. So, Doug, I have your name now. Sorry about that.
yeah, no problem, Mike.
So, leveraging best practices is part of this plan. We don't want to reinvent the wheel. We want to discover and leverage best practices. So why don't I go ahead and jump in, and appreciate everybody being here. Can you see that screen?
Mark, real quick, I don't know if you can switch microphones. Yours is a little scratchy on my end. I don't know if that goes for anybody else.
Yeah,
Might be just my internet connection. If I move a little closer, is that any better?
Just the S's sound like lightning strikes. I don't know if that
really?
describes it well.
Yeah, I haven't had that
I'm hearing
problem.
the same thing. It is breaking up.
Same here.
Yep,
Got it.
agreed.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, it's better.
I could try signing out and signing back in. It might just be my connection.
But yeah, I wanted to stop before you got too far into it.
Yeah, if you want to try that, that would be a good idea.
Yeah.
Doug, that's the first time I saw that video. Was fantastic.
This is the
Thanks.
debut, Johnny. It was hot off the presses yesterday.
Yeah, just the three of me, Andy, and Darren were kind of brainstorming it and getting the wording right, making sure that it
And
covered all
Doug
the
is putting it
bases.
together for us, and I'm so proud of the fact that together we created the material to put that together. So thank all of you who are helping us with this.
That's the best
It's going to
part.
live on the website, Darren?
That's going to be on the website, on the YouTube channel, on the District 1 Facebook group, and on the District 1 ADOT private group.
Great.
If you're not speaking and you want to shut your audio down, it might help while Mark is doing the presentation to make his clear up a bit.
Yeah, if everybody
I'm
could
gonna-
do that, the video and the audio, if you shut that off while he's doing the presentation, that gets all the bandwidth that we can get out of it. And we're just waiting for him to come back. Rich, nice to see you here.
Yeah, thank you, Darren. And hi to everybody.
Is this any better?
Folks, for those of you who don't know, it's the president of AMA, Rich Hansen.
Hi, Rich. And Mark, that does sound better.
Is this better?
Yeah,
Oh,
Yes,
that's much better.
Agree.
Just must have had a bad connection. All I did was sign out, sign back in, still on computer audio.
Perfect.
Sounds great.
All right. But I will turn my camera off though, just to make sure we don't overload it again. All right. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Affirmative. Yep.
There we go. All right. So again, thanks for being here and thanks for giving me the time. I'll try to get through this presentation, get us out of here by 7:30. But if we get good interactive conversations going on, the District 3 meeting ran about 10 or 15 minutes over because we had a lot of good conversation going on. So, feel free to chime in. We'll go through some introductions and then I'll talk about trends, call to action, and the plan going forward. So I've already been introduced, but just a little more background. Again, District 3 AVP, been in model aviation for 44 years. Distinguished Service Award recipient for a lot of promotional activities I've done in the past for our air shows here in the Cincinnati area and other model aviation events. And I'm a participating member of the Marketing Membership Committee. A member of the Greater Cincinnati Radio Control Club. We're lucky to be a very healthy club of 228 members. We've grown by 64 members the last 2.5 years. So with a lot of the programs we've been working on. And I'm also a member of the Rosewood RC Club in Southern Indiana across from the Louisville area. If anybody's heard of Rosewood, and there are a lot of their jet events and other activities. And I travel all over the country. My kids live all over the country. I travel all over the country and fly at RC fields wherever I can go. Membership Growth and Retention Subcommittee was formed by Rich Hansen as part of the Marketing and Membership Committee. It's Rich, Randy Cameron, myself, the executive director, and support from the AMA staff. We had our initial working session in August. So a lot of the stuff you're going to see tonight is what we've been, working on the last 3.5, 4 months. I think we made quite a bit of progress. We got a long ways to go. I won't go through a lot of this in detail because I know if you watch the roundtable video, you've seen a lot of this. But so I'll go through quick. If you want me to slow down, please jump in. We've seen significant and steady growth from 1970 to 1990. Then the next 12 or 15 years, it kind of leveled off, a few dips, a few climbs, but basically maintained membership levels. Then since 2002, there's been some growth spurts, but overall paid membership has kind of been steadily declining. The good news is right now we get 12,000 new AMA members per year, which is up from a much smaller number just a few years ago due to a number of good Google ad campaigns and marketing campaigns. However, retention rates are poor, with about 80% of those new members dropping within 2 years. So we get a lot of people in the door, we're not hanging on to them. So we got to think about retention quite a bit. What are some of the causal analysis? This was just Mark Feist's view of the world. I'm sure there's a lot of other things, but when I look at the curve and I look at the numbers, it's no coincidence in my mind that Xbox hit the market in 2002. PlayStation went to an online version shortly after that in early 2004. The iPhone hit the market in 2007. And by 2008 or 2009, everything was online. Video games, the internet was in the palm of your hand, a lot of other things to catch people's attention rather than, sitting in a workshop building and flying model airplanes. Model aviation then kind of became internally focused. The AMA itself, clubs, the magazines, everything became very internally focused on the hobby and our own events and our own activities, became less and less externally focused, just like your community or your outreach initiative, reaching out to the general public through museums and air shows and events. A lot of that stuff stopped happening. Mall shows stopped, a lot of other things stopped. We became pretty internally focused. And then hobby shops also moved from primarily brick and mortar to online. So this all kind of created the perfect storm. The quadcopters came online, the federal government got more involved. There's all kinds of things happening. But to me, these are kind of the 5 or 6 highlights. So what do we need to do? First, we need to stop the leaking. So we kind of got a leaky bucket. We need to stop the leak and improve retention. Once we do that, and we get those Band-Aids in place through communication, engaging new members, growing our retention, then we can start growing overall membership. And we do that by what is a total universe, or in this case, what do the clouds look like where all of our new members are going to come from, and how are we going to continue to fill that bucket up? First, we have to look at non-AMA model aviators. So when I talk to Horizon and other manufacturers and distributors and online hobby shops, they're telling me that the market is somewhere between 300,000 and 400,000 paying customers in the United States. We only have 100 and some thousand in the AMA. So where's that gap? Our family and friends can certainly get more involved. We can also look at organization or groups of demographics like empty nesters, recently retired, disposable income, ages 35 to 55. when I go to jet events, whether it's Jets Over Kentucky or Fall Jet Classic or events out in Tucson or Phoenix, anywhere in the country, I see a lot of people in this age group who have disposable income or looking for that adrenaline rush, that excitement. Maybe we need to work through that group to get more people of that age income in here as well, age and income levels in here as well. Then you have the next level down, which is schools, STEM programs, scouting, Civil Air Patrol, gamers and youth. I think it was Joan from your district sent a good email and good discussion about gamers. Both my boys actually told me to put gamers on this list, that they challenge their friends to come out and quote unquote try it for real. And when they come out and fly a model airplane, they're like, wow, a lot harder, and which makes it a lot more fun than pressing the reset button on a video game. Then you have similar hobbies, RC cars, boats, trains, etc., where we can share our passions. And I actually heard that term used in your video, which was awesome. Share our passions. That's kind of a common theme you hear throughout. Then you got aviation orgs, robotics clubs, car clubs. These are just ideas thrown out there that local clubs and districts can think about. Yeah, you know what? Here's organizations we can partner with. And then, of course, the general public through air shows and other events, and then museums. I think museums might be a real interesting channel for us. I just looked, for example, in Southwest Ohio, didn't realize between Cincinnati and Dayton, there's 5 aviation museums. It's like, oh my goodness, there's a lot more than I thought, just in a 50-mile radius. So there's a lot of opportunities there to put in displays and have information available to potential new members. So that was kind of the call to action. Stop the leak and you grow the membership. Here's a bunch of ideas on how to do that, which again, I've saw in your video. So we're in sync here. So then we put together a plan, started thinking about how do we drive growth and retention within the next 6 to 12 months through quick hit, midterm, long-term, and ongoing activities. I wanted this to be a systematic, approach, looking at things holistically, not just a quick hit. Hey, here's some information. Let's try to get people on transmitters, but how do we systematically make this kind of an ongoing way of operating? Focus on the value proposition. So through effective communication of the value of model aviation and the benefits of AMA and charter clubs, and then member engagement. So increased connection, participation in growing the hobby. So you talked about that. How do we get AVPs and leader members, club officers, general membership involved in volunteering to help grow the hobby? And then execute against that plan. We want to define the activities for we broke it down into 4 areas: AMA, districts, charter clubs, and special interest groups. So we try to focus on value, communication, and leveraging existing programs. And this should say programs and best practices, because I'm learning a lot of best practices across the country that I think we will fold into this. We wanted this to be guided by the AMA, implemented by the VPs, AVPs, leader members, and club officers. And why is that? We just wanted to be consistent. So the messaging coming out from District 1 is pretty consistent for District 8 or District 10. Doesn't have to be identical because there's uniqueness in each area, but let's at least be consistent in our messaging. And then we want to measure the results. We're putting metrics in place to measure the results. Oh, the last point there about the call out. A little more of my background. I was a program manager for large technology implementations for Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 companies and governments around the world. So I ran a number of technology initiatives in my 45-year consulting career. And as a program manager for the last 30 years, I always told people the best plans are equal parts rigor and flexibility. You got to put together a rigorous plan, have measurements, march to the plan, but you better be flexible when new ideas come along, when changes in the wind, when there's changes in scope. So you got to be equal parts rigor and flexible. So when we put together a plan, when new ideas and new things come along, we'll certainly be flexible. So activities, the short-term quick hit, put together an AMA value proposition. I'll show you that here in a little bit. New member email campaign that we started in August. It's going to be very successful. It's been very successful already. Charter club survey, where we sent out about 2,000 surveys. We've got over 1,100 responses. Social media strategy. We're developing that right now. And the AMA Club Toolkit is being developed as well. And hopefully we'll have beta versions of those last two out soon that we can share with, VPs, AVPs, and the like to get feedback on. Midterm, we're putting together a model aviation presentation that basically says, here's the first page all about model aviation and how cool it is and the types of people that do it. And then here's the second page here's the AMA and what the AMA is all about. And the third page would be insert your local club. Now, anybody can just grab this presentation, go out, present to a museum, present to a park board, present to a potential landlord, you name it, and it's consistent messaging, across the nation. And then we want a video on AMA accomplishments. A lot of people don't realize what life would be like without the AMA. All you have to do is look north of the border in Canada to understand what life could be like if we didn't have all the great work going on by Tyler and his team and Rich and everybody else. Long-term and ongoing activities, full version of the Club Toolkit will continue to evolve that. We'd like to start producing more how-to and high-energy videos, regular marketing campaigns, help clubs publicize programs and events. So feels like a lot, but we tried to keep it all very manageable into, manageable chunks of activities. This is kind of what the plan looks like. So it started with, AMA growth and retention team. It's the team I mentioned earlier, and a lot of the key staff members, putting together the value prop, the new member email campaign. So Mark Benson, Kenny Cassidy, Alona, a whole bunch of people have been working on this. We're developing a club toolkit, social media strategy presentation. Then we're communicating that to the AMA leadership. We present it to the executive council, then to the VPPs, AVPs, leader members through the roundtable, and now these individual district meetings. And we want then this value prop and toolkit to be available to AVPs and leader members. So very soon here, we're going to make that value prop available here in the next week or so. Shortly after that, the toolkit. Shortly after that, the presentation. So the social media strategy, we're still iterating. Then we want that to be presented to charter club officers by the AVPs and leader members. So we'd like AVPs to say, yeah, you know what, I'll go present to these 5 or 6 clubs in my area. I'll go present to these 2 clubs. And we slowly push this out to the organization. We could do an end run around VPs and AVPs and leader members and send all the stuff directly to club officers. We feel like it'll mean a lot, carry a lot more weight if an AVP or leader member presents it to the local clubs. But I'm open to feedback on that. Maybe it's too aggressive to try to do it that way, but open to feedback.
I agree. This is John. My take on that is, people are inundated with, emails, and it's overload. There's so much stuff going on. And, that personal step into a club and, go out to a meeting. We've done a few of those, and I think they've been the most valuable, so I'll throw that one out there.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I agree with you. So we'll
Rich,
give this a try the next, 3 or 4 months and see how it plays out in the first quarter of 2025.
Excuse me, Mark, I just wanted to interject. This is Darren. We created this video that you watched tonight specifically because we're going to start doing team visits to clubs this winter. 1, 2, or 3 outreach team members and AVPs going out, and we wanted that's our version of the toolkit and our value added proposition for the clubs. I want to put this push in now, and we'll talk about it later too. But I want the team, the committee, to really consider collaborating and hearing some of the stuff we have to offer from our grassroots, and also the advantage of not only going to clubs, but going to the districts as a whole. The group you see in front of you today is made up of, our team is made up of probably 15 or 20 clubs that come together all at once to help out at club venues as well as our own venues. So just wanted to throw that in there to get it on record.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You guys clearly have some best practice going on.
Okay.
So if I looked at it in the timeline, which is in the appendix, we want to try to get all this communication out of here in the first quarter of 2025. Then we want the AMA growth and retention team to distribute the value prop to online hobby shops, distributors, and manufacturers. And we can certainly use your help in doing this. A big win was from early last week. I met with the executives at Horizon Hobby, showed them the one pager, the value prop, showed them the highlights of this plan. They are 100% on board. Starting in 2025, they're going to include an AMA value prop in their email journey for their customers. So you buy an aviation related product, you'll also get the AMA value proposition and encouragement to join a local club. To join the AMA, join a local club. And I think that's a big win. And they're going to re-engineer their 2025 product manuals throughout the year. So most of them be modified by the end of calendar year 2025. But the physical manuals coming in their products will also include a paragraph on the AMA and a QR code to where you can find a local club. So that's very exciting. So we got Horizon Hobby on board, Tower Hobbies on board. We're meeting with a number of other large manufacturer and distributors here in the next few weeks. At the same time, we like club officers, ABTs, and leader members to start distributing that value prop to brick and mortar hobby shops. So what are all the hobby shops in your area? And if you can even think of, smaller online distributors that operated out of your district, offer the online distributors an electronic version of the value prop, and then we'll get you a budget to print hard copies of the value prop for the local hobby shops. So we can't do that centrally. We have to distribute that out through the AVPs and leader members.
Well, I agree. The hobby shops in our local area have been asking for the flyers that we made up, the handouts. And, I don't know if this has got up to you, but, I've been talking about, an extra officer in every club. And we should really have a PR requirement for every club, someone that actually takes the initiative to do the retention, like somebody local, because someone coming from the AMA, like, I don't know who they are. I want to get to know the people in my local club. And maybe, the guy that shows up on a Saturday only really talks to a few different people. A PR person is the person's job is to go and, hey, we're having a fun fly, or it's National Model Aviation Day. And those good word things for our clubs. I think we're missing the boat, not having someone that's dedicated, that friendly guy in our club, the guy that always comes up and talks to everybody. That's the PR guy.
Yeah, and I think that's part of our club toolkit, which I'll get to some of those aspects here in a few slides. But we talk about helping, how can the AMA help promote your local events? That's certainly a tip that we can put into that process. Thanks. Excellent tip.
Yeah, I was thinking too, this is Andy. I'm back a bit here now. One of the big problems that we have is really having data that's accurate data about our clubs. I mean, in the years I owned a hobby shop, and more than one over the years, I would send people out. It was always a gamble. You didn't know. Even today, many of the clubs that we have out there are unwilling sometimes to tell us the true facts about their club. We need to know, if you're a welcoming club, do you have open memberships at this time? Do you have intro pilot instructors? Are those intro pilot instructors, if we could ask them a few questions, would you be willing to teach people and intro them into the hobby, not just from the club you're in, but from some of the surrounding clubs? Or would you be capable of joining us when we're doing some of our larger events where we hit 5,000 people in a small municipal airport? When we do a regional airport, we're seeing as many as 15,000 people in a weekend. We give them the flyer. We give them the local clubs that are around, but we never, and the one thing we're trying to do lately is when we do the raffles, we capture their email and their telephone number. And typically at any one of these shows, we may get as many as a couple of hundred people buying. So we've got some means now to send them information, especially the ones that apply for it. It's somewhat of a metric, but it really doesn't tell us what we really need. We know the assets are there. We know we've got 2,400 clubs. We know that's different than 48 clubs from Flight Test. How do we get that asset and to know enough about it, and
Right.
so we can make the link, coordinate the effort, and get it going? So
Yeah, I think, you guys are hitting on all the key points. And we put together this AMA value prop one pager to try to, again, a consistent message across the country, all the districts. It has much less detail than what your District 1 flyer had, but it points people in the right direction. So from there, we'd like club officers and AVPs and leader members then to begin to identify and present to potential partner organizations. We talked about those: car clubs, aviation clubs, the EAA, the local chapters, Commemorative Air Force, Civil Air Patrol, museums. Just think about what some of the partner organizations where we can share our passion. We can maybe have a permanent display at their location. We can share events. We can show up at a car show. Car shows can show up at our car clubs, can show up at our air shows. Just start thinking about that and partner with your AVPs and your VPs and go out and present to these partner organizations. And then at the club level, charter club officers communicate this to the club members and make the club members aware of what's available. And then charter clubs utilize the AMA programs to host events, promote the hobby, publicize their instruction programs. If they don't have an instructor program, consider having an introductory pilot or two on your team. Think about forming youth and senior groups. On the youth group side, if you've seen AMA Air recently and some of the blogs, I'm very proud of the youth group in the Greater Cincinnati Radio Control Club. 2 teenagers, one was 13, one was 15. They came to the board and said, "Hey, we'd like to form a youth group." They called it a Boy Scout troop within the airplane club. Heck yeah, go for it. We gave them free reign to figure it out. They called themselves the Jet Stars, and they printed up they made their own logo. They had shirts printed up, and in 1 year, they've gone from 2 members to 18 youth under the age of 16 and under, and bringing in friends, and it's just like this cool group. They get their own shirts and they get to talk about jets and they fly the filmy stuff. They just love it. So and then of course social media, leverage social media the best you can. And you guys already talked about that quite a bit. At the SIG level, we want the SIG leadership to communicate the plan to all the SIGs, and then communicate to AMA members and encourage participation in the SIGs. And why is that? Because when you have somebody join this hobby and 80% leave the hobby, something's going wrong. They're not getting into clubs. They're not getting in with their peer group. They're not sharing their passion. So if I get into a SIG, whether it's control line or free flight or one of the many RC SIGs, and now I'm in with a group of my peers and people that think like I do and get a kick out of the same type of airplanes I do, I'm likely to stick. I think that retention rate goes way up. And I'll talk more about that in a little bit. But this is a very high-level view of the plan. And then lastly, the AMA Growth and Retention Team will support your membership drives. So any support you need, just reach out to me. I'll pull in Kenny or Mark or Iona or anybody to help you out. We'll continue with ongoing activities, the new member email campaign, producing videos and social media. So we're not going away after we turn this over. I think this will be an ongoing thing, at least all the way through 2025, if not beyond. So with that, I just want to go through a quick update of what we've accomplished and then kind of open it up for discussion on next steps. So where we're at with what we've been delivering, we're on those quick hits and midterm activities. First thing is the AMA value prop. So this is what the cover looks like. So if this is sitting on a table at a swap shop or at a hobby shop or at a museum or whatever, this is what the cover would look like. AMA can help you enjoy model aviation. If you're brand new, we can help you learn to fly. You open up the center section, looks like this. So what we did is I sat down and took the 14-page member guide, boiled it down to 1 page, and then turned it over to the staff. And Mark Benson and his team did an amazing job of turning that into, these are the 6 things. So I said, these are the 6 categories. I had way too many words. They boiled it down to this, a high energy picture. They got model aviation community, top left, charter clubs and flying sites, events and competition, philanthropy and history, insurance and advocacy, education and safety. The AMA brings all of this stuff to the table. So when somebody asks the question, well, what do I get for my $85? You get a lot. You get a lot. It's all right here. And then again, you got 2 simple QR codes. How do I sign up for the AMA and how do I find a club? And then the back page is simply, again, find a local club, find a mentor. So this is a bifold It's real easy to read. If you do it, the online version is, let me find it. Here we go. The online, oh, I opened up the wrong one. The, right here. The, if you wanted to give a electronic version to people, it just looks like this. So it doesn't have the cover in the back, but we added just a little bit more information inside. So, and what we're doing with this, by the way, as I talked to Horizon Hobby, has their products on this one. But as we talk to, like, for example, we talked to a few other, I just won't get into the names, too many of them. A couple other manufacturers and distributors are going to have their product pictures in this online version that they can send out with their invoices and their emails to their customers. So whether it's Motion RC or Legend Hobby or BVM Jets or whoever it is, will have their photograph on here, but all the same information. So that's how we're distributing it out to the through the online shops and manufacturers and distributors. You can make this available to anybody who wants an electronic version.
Yeah. I got a question on that, Mark. Is that, you said it's a bifold?
Yeah, you can either get the bifold or you can just get the one pager.
Okay, so it's about the size of the membership guide that we used to have in the past. You know, this is great for us to have as a handout, but we also see that when we look at this over here, we're talking about all the national things, all the benefits that come from a national level that should be partnered with what we've always thought of as our trifold, because what our trifold does is it targets that member to the people in his district, the local hobby shops, the local clubs. It gives the QR codes. So between the two, using yours and using ours, I see that there's a necessity to have both. The local one, of course, doesn't have to have all the same things as you have, but it covers all the basics, and at least they tie right into the AVPs and directly to the clubs. So I guess my question is, should you come up with a local one to give to all district VPs around the United States that could be tailored to their particular AVPs, but the basic data, like the benefits of the AMA, the mission of the AMA, the QR codes for the trust test, the QR code for the registration, and the 8 basic rules.
So let's slow you down here a little bit.
Go ahead.
We thought about that and we decided not to do separate.
It's on the web. For
Separate.
basics,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
We decided not to do separate one pagers or separate flyers for each district. We wanted a consistent message across the country, and we purposely took off the trust test and the FAA registration and all that other stuff. We just don't need to get into that. Let them join the AMA, get into a local club. They can learn that through their local clubs. We wanted to keep this simple, easy to read, and I actually stress tested this at model aviation events and even with my neighbors and church friends.
Yeah.
And made sure they could read this in 1 minute or less. And we got it down to a 1 minute read, a couple key QR codes. We just wanted to keep it really simple and clean.
I got it. It's less content for them to have to absorb. Maybe the only thing I would have probably put on there is something that directs them to the district.
Well, unfortunately, I don't know that there's anything in the AMA that directs you to a district. You have something that directs you to your local club.
Well, every district has a website, and every district has AVPs. And when they go to the district website or the district Facebook page, that's usually the most popular place to see what you see about events, about activities, about everything that's going on in the district.
That might be true with District 1, but I will tell you that a lot of districts don't have active websites. And most of those districts, when I talk to their VPs, their websites and their social media sites don't get any activity at all.
Well, I agree with you on the websites, but the Facebook group sites have replaced that entirely. And most of the clubs across the United States are simply using the Facebook groups as their means of communication on their own events and all the other stuff too. So whatever channels they got available would at least give them an opportunity to see those channels. For example, if you said to me you'd put on our Facebook group there, we have 870 people that are using that almost every day, and it's more active than any website we ever had for a small district and a small amount of people. So that's the only thing. I just don't see this feeding back to the district.
Well, I think the flyer, like you said, it's a 1 minute or less. I agree that that's kind of the hook. But the flyer, I think that we've been handing out is the typical questions that come along right after they ask about the AMA. So instead of like Andy saying, buy one of these, and I say buy one of those, we kind of came up with, planes to fly, all the questions that they ask, and they start jotting down. You'll see the mom with her son, how much does a plane cost? What kind of plane should we buy? We answered all those questions in one easy to, hand out flyers. So they don't leave with a lot of questions unanswered. So, that maybe that flyer could be handed out in this certain situation, like at a club or at some of these events when you have, an AVP who's, got someone that's really already interested. They want to buy a plane, they want to find out more, and then we give them that information.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. Absolutely. I think each district is going to have some uniqueness. And if you have your own supplemental piece of information at your swap shops and museums and air shows and stuff, yeah, more power to you. But we just didn't feel like it was feasible to create 10 versions of that.
I get you. And I think the AMA, maybe, we don't mind sharing it. And if ours had blanks where if they want the next step, let's not have them recreate the wheel because we put a lot of work into it. There's a couple of people here like, Darren and Doug and Darren and Andy.
Well, go ahead and send me the latest version.
Sure.
And, we'll see if something can be adapted, but we want to keep this really simple. And
I got it.
Like I said, the manufacturers have agreed that, manufacturer distributors are agreeing to put this one page PDF
right.
in their emails right along with model aviation purchases.
Yeah, I mean, manufacturers is a terrific thing. Absolutely. You wouldn't want to put odds in the manufacturer's box, that's for sure.
Right.
So, we've kind of chosen, I heard you saying you were talking with Horizon Hobby. Quite a few of us, myself, were team pilots for Horizon, as well as AVPs. So, we kind of pushed on the trainers that most people are flying. So, I mean, that's a benefit for Horizon. So, in turn, hopefully they'll print these for us, or whatever, because we are referring. I mean, they own 99% of the market share for new pilots. But so, and if they have the best trainer, then we don't feel bad about.
Yeah, we had a candid conversation about that, and then I'll get off this tangent. But look, the Apprentice and the
Aeroscout.
I mean, they're a problem. The radio that comes with them, you cannot hook up to a buddy box. You have to buy a supplemental receiver. You got to open it up and stick it in there. They have not made those planes club friendly. So
they are not friendly. They're more made for someone that who wants to use safe in a big field, and they don't go to a club. So that's a problem. And right.
We talked about that. That's a problem.
The clubs. I mean, Darren has called me up, say, I can't get this thing to buy, and I want to get a buddy box. I'm pretty technical. So I'm the technical person on the group here. I think one of them. There's quite a few people that are, but it should be easier. I totally agree, and we've had conversations with Craig Greening about some of the problems with some of the receivers, but you don't have to put a new receiver in. I've been flashing a lot of these and just making a bone stock, the ones that come with, and then we'll set them all up so they work fine with buddy boxes at no expense. But clubs are doing that on a local level.
But we had the candid conversation with the head of air and the head of marketing that you guys are basically taking the club out of the loop with the way you're selling your trainers with the safe technology. And the safe technology, people get frustrated because they don't learn how to fly. They're banging the sticks all over the place. The safe technology's keeping the plane in the air, and they just never learn how to fly properly. And they don't stay in the hobby.
Yeah, we
Hey,
found some really good
Mark, I just want to interject and piggyback on John because we do a lot of training with SAFE. It's a tool, and like any other tool, if the tool isn't properly used by the person holding it, then it's not going to be beneficial. If SAFE is used properly by an instructor and that person is weaned off of it because it's not made to be a permanent device. If it's weaned properly, people are getting satisfaction instantly, and the key is with instructors is to show them what they're getting protected from. And
I agree with you.
That's
I agree.
So
I agree with that statement 100%.
yeah, it's
But how
technique.
do you get those people to come over and join the club rather than just flying in the farm field up the street?
Well,
Yeah, that's what I was going to echo, Mark, is with this flyer with I'll call it limited information compared to a flyer that's packed with everything or the safe technology on a trainer. One of the main goals here is to get people to the club field to get additional information or to learn how to fly or whatever that may be. As Mark mentioned earlier, that we had some survey data, and I briefly went through it. And one of the biggest things I picked up on was over 75% of the clubs felt that the retention rate was pretty good for their club, which is the opposite of what we see here at headquarters levels. So that I think that highlights the importance of getting new members out to the clubs, out to the flying sites. If we can get them there, then the data is showing that retention rate is going to improve. So we need to make those clubs a useful and important place to send new folks.
So by the way, just a quick, yes, thank you, Tyler. That's perfect. And again, we're not done with the discussions with Horizon, by the way. They're actually considering now creating what they call a club trainer, which will be actually AMA logoed and come with a radio that you can just plug in, Bluetooth to another, NX or DX or IX type transmitter and work with your local club to learn how to fly.
Well, there you go. That's the right way to do it. I love
Right,
it.
yeah.
So we're trying to, we're just starting those conversations. We pulled in Eric Myers to those conversations. Excuse me, not Eric. Yes. And I'm getting the different names mixed up. I apologize. But anyway, by the way, I'm sitting here feverishly taking notes. So I'm hearing what you guys are saying. But yeah, we pulled Eric Myers into those conversations and working with the current executives at Horizon. And
I've talked with Steve Petrato as well about like trying to get a $100 trainer out. And, lo and behold, now they got $100 airplane. But we were talking about even bringing control line back into the mix because, there's a lot of 8-year-old kids and 7-year-old kids that come up to our booth. And, $300 or $400 is kind of out of touch, or you got to wait till Christmas and it could be in the middle of summer. And by then there's a new hobby, something else that catches their eye. So
no, you're exactly right. And, our club, we asked for volunteers to buy a couple trainers that we keep at the field in a secured place. Mm-hmm. And we luckily had members step up. We have 4 trainers that are readily available. So if people show up on a Saturday or Sunday or an evening and want to get an understanding of what this is all about, hey, let's go grab this trainer. It takes about 15, 20 minutes to top off the battery and let's go fly it. So there's a lot of ways of solving that problem, but given the time constraints, I'm going to move forward. The other thing that we're working on is a club toolkit. So this is what it'll look like on the site. So it's the same 6 areas in the blue buttons, charter clubs and flying sites, the model aviation community, education and safety, insurance advocacy, events and competition, and philanthropy and history. Up at the top, you have one click to get to the value props, and then how to become a charter club and bylaws. We're probably going to stick those down under the blue buttons. Probably just going to be the value prop at the top, and then you click on one of the blue buttons, and then it expands into that category. Basically, this will be a portal, a window. You can get to everything on all 7 AMA sites, AMA Air, AMA Blog, the museum, the AMA Foundation, all the things. You can get to everything right through these 6 buttons. So that's the intent of this toolkit. Certainly there's things on the main site like finding staff and executive council, a whole bunch of other stuff, but anything that a club needs to know about comes through this portal right out to it. the details behind that, which some other people have been interested. So it looks like this. This is the ugly version. So here are the 6 categories. And then these are all the different pieces. So under charter clubs, these are all the different pieces. The ones with the green check marks we already have in the toolkit. We're working on the other ones. And then this is the model aviation community. Then we get into education and safety. We get into insurance and government advocacy, into events and competition, into philanthropy and history. So that's all of these things will be in the toolkit, going through those simple 6 blue buttons. So that's the toolkit. Again, it should be available in January 25. Based on where it's at, I think we're still on pace to get there. We have an email campaign that we implemented in August of 24. It's now an email journey for a new member. So we first send out a thank you. Did you learn to fly? Did you join a local club? And you ask a series of questions for the first 3 months or 4 months that they're a new member. So they'll get one of these emails every couple of weeks, ask them how it's coming. And depending on how they answer the question, it interacts with the next email. So what Tyler said earlier is important. We see the retention rate extremely high once people become a member of a club. Struggle with the retention rate when they don't become a member of a club. Since we implemented this campaign over the last 3 months, over 60%, it's now leaning towards 65 to 70% of all new members of the AMA have found and joined a local club. Before this, it was a much, much smaller number. And I don't remember the exact number, but it was somewhere between 20 and 30%. So we're up now well north of 60% of all new members are joining local clubs, thanks to this email campaign. So Kenny Cassidy and his team have done a really good job with this. The next thing is a model aviation presentation. It's in an early draft form, but the first page, here's the virtues of model aviation. The next page is, here's what's good about the Model Academy of Model Aeronautics. And then the third page is you insert your local club details here. So if a club wants to go present, again, to a park board or a landlord or an air show committee or whoever, we got a boilerplate presentation. They can take things out, put things in, but we'll be able to grab this off the club toolkit and then just use it. We conducted a club survey in October, sent it out to right around 2,000 people. We've received over 1,100 responses, and we're pooling their results. A little premature to show them tonight, but we're starting to learn a lot of things. But certainly got an understanding. We got an understanding of, is your club growing? Is it static? Is it declining? Do you have an instruction program? Do you have a process to welcome new members? We asked a lot of the questions. We're getting some pretty interesting answers. So also helped the AMA put together a communication plan. There was not a lot of rhyme or reason behind when things are communicated, how are they communicated, which one of the 7 websites, or was it AMA Air, was it a blog, was it the magazine, what's the method, who's the audience, what's the frequency, what's the purpose, what's the expected result. So when we started thinking through that, this is just the first page of their communication plan. First part around this membership drive, and then normal business as usual communications. So they're really starting to think purposely now around what communications are going out and why, and what do we expect the result to be? What vehicle are we using to communicate? So it's a little more thoughtful as opposed to kind of seat of the pants. And then lastly, we're putting together a series of metrics. So, just really want to talk about next steps, work with your charter clubs within your district, make them aware of the value prop in the toolkit, help them host events. You guys in District 1 are already doing a lot of this naturally. So we're just going to give you a few more assets to add to what you're already doing. Help identify, this is where I need help identify online hobby shops, maybe some other distributors and manufacturers that are operating in your districts that we aren't aware of. When I had the meeting with District 3, a number of their members came back with a lot of online hobby shops and distributors. And then identify potential partner organizations and work with your local clubs to start to coordinate activities. Again, you guys are already doing that. some of the other districts, this is kind of a new idea to them. And then what other activities work for your district? And you've already said a few. So that's the whole presentation. And just FYI, I'll send this out to you. We have detailed plans behind all of this with timelines and team leaders and start dates and end dates. And we didn't just kind of make this stuff up. We actually tried to plan it. So I didn't want to bore you guys with that. So I put it in an appendix.
Good.
So with that,
Totally boring, Mark. Totally boring.
With that, why don't we, talk some more?
If I can interject for a minute, I'm out here of AVP out in District 10, and I was in the round table and agree with everything. It's fantastic. We're finally focusing on this. I'm about as far countrywide from AMA as you can get out here in Nevada, step over from California. But we're literally out here floundering on our own. And I don't want to say anything wrong, but this has got to trickle down through the ranks into the district and then get spread out to us on the ground. And I've worked more with Andy than I have with our own VP here. And I don't know where we go to kind of ratchet up a little bit there, but we're literally out here on our own. I do events.
Barry,
Yeah, sorry.
I'm sorry, Barry. You're right, and this is why we put this plan together to try to drive this out through the districts.
and it's a great plan. I'm an educator. You've got good performance-based objectives in here. I mean, the amount of work that you put into this is just phenomenal, and it's going to be productive. Andy sent me the brochure. I like the brochure idea. We're modifying that for our area. I don't know if it can be used in the district, but we'll do that here. We're in constant contact with our local hobby people. They support us. We've got good clubs here. I'm in all the clubs, boards and all that stuff. And so we try to be active, but we still feel kind of left out of a lot of things. We need information from AMA. We need what's going on in our district, how many members we got, where are they, how many junior members, can we convert them? I mean, there's so many things that we could use.
I strongly recommend that you send a note to your VP, District 10 VP.
Did that.
You did that?
Did that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to get the other districts, all 10 districts to have this same meeting with their AVPs and leader members by the end of January.
Yeah.
So we have two. This is the second one being conducted. We're close to getting a few more scheduled. Tyler Dobbs is volunteered to host them on his Zoom account if that's what's needed.
Yeah.
So
I work
hopefully
with
District
Tyler
10
too,
will step up here soon.
Yeah. I mean, we're here. We're that's what we're here for. And I'm trying to absorb as much as I can from you guys. I mean, District 1 is just light years ahead. Andy and all you guys have just done a phenomenal job. And
so we will also
make
this, available. I'll send this out to everybody on this call, so you can start using this now.
Okay.
This is ready. I can just send you the PDFs, or I can send you the link to the AMA toolkit.
So the PDFs are fine, and actually the local hobby shop said that they would print up stuff for us. So
yeah, and I think
so. There's a version that that they can print, so it looks like this.
I think Mark and the marketing team recognize that districts are going to be more involved than others, and so this is designed and built to be as active as you want it to be. If you're a leader member, an AVP, you don't have to wait on your vice president to get engaged. You can, reach out to Mark, reach out to myself. We'll help you get this information. But go out and start contacting hobby shops, share the toolkit, go to events where there's newcomers and start doing the work yourselves.
So the one version of the PDF that I'll send you is the full flyer. So this is the inside.
Yeah.
and the outside's upside down because you're printed double-sided.
Right. Right.
Print it double, send it to the local print shop. Say, hey, I want these in, 8.5 by 11 or 12 by 9, whatever, and they'll print them for you.
Yeah.
I actually went to a number of local print shops, got estimates. They're anywhere between 75 cents to 90 cents per flyer, depending on what weight paper you ask them to put it on.
Right.
It does look better on glossy paper. So the pricing I gave, that pricing between 75 and 90 cents is for glossy paper versus regular print paper you would have in your inkjet.
Mark, while you're talking about that, this is Andy again. Obviously, we've got two types of activities. Retention. When I think back dealing with retention is when you actually are preaching to the choir. It's when you're giving the members that you already have events that they can attend. You're not that interested in bringing in the public. That's how, when I started in 2004 and before that, when I was with the IMAA, that's the way we operated. As time evolved, and the reason why that added to retention is more and more people got to enjoy the hobby with like-minded people at events that were designed around their interests. So we would run a fun flyer, we would do specific areas, specialty flying. We'd even bring in, the food people, the vendors and everything else, get a field larger than what our own field was, operated off airport fields and stuff like that. Then as we moved forward in time, we realized that we had to get outside of that mentality, because in order to grow the base, the membership, the population, we needed to go do our outreach. And there we managed to, over a period of time, to master ways to introduce big audiences to what we're doing. The issues that we have are that to do outreach and to do it properly needs money, needs funding. So all the things that you're talking about here, you're going to give us one of these that we can have. You're going to provide us with this asset or that asset. Comes down to also what portion of the marketing money that's used by AMA to do marketing. I won't talk about numbers here, but what portion should be redirected to districts to take on these new activities, these new responsibilities, these new methods of growing membership. For example, when you were talking about partners, we partnered with the best partner of them all, and that's the FAA. The FAA can tie us into more events than all the other ACE camps, all the other ones that we've worked with over the years, EAA, any of these other, they're good. We still work with them, the FAST team and all that. But FAA and the STEM educators on a local level, some of these educational groups have established, once they heard about us and they've seen our flyers, we could be at an event almost 4 and 5 times a year. The same, and I think we did at least 5 events last year. I wasn't at all of them, but they were all big STEM events, some held in the Delta Airlines buildings. So clubs need to know this is another avenue, different than what we've used, that's available to them. Sometimes through the district, there's that collaboration again that I say, when you bring them in, we have the tools. We bring them in so they can market their clubs and do what you want to see done. But we can get them so that in the past, they maybe could have 10 or 12 people come to their flying site, parking restrictions, size of fields. Now, then they come to one of our events, put up their banner, set up their tent, they're able to do marketing. But back to my other topic. Are there going to be certain things that the marketing committee and AMA going to take under their mission to be able to fund us with stuff that now we're paying for our banners, for our pop-up tents, for our tables? We now use these modern day non-computer live display panels with USBs in them and a touch screen. So we don't have to touch up a computer. Someone can walk over, push a button on our screen and learn about where the local clubs are. Push another one and see about, where are the hobby shops here that I have to go to? So we're doing this to increase our marketing effort, but at the same time, we're exhausting our budgets. And and people know that I've done that, and I'm trying to catch up now. But the point
So
is,
Andy, I maybe Rich
yeah,
can answer this question or Tyler, but only answer I can give you is I've asked Randy Cameron to coordinate a meeting for me to talk to the finance committee
yes,
to answer that very question.
okay,
So when we're
that's
talking about printing flyers, for example,
yeah,
75 cents to 90 cents a flyer for brick and mortar hobby shops and for swap shops and museums and all the places want physical flyers. You start talking about 50 states and 2,000 clubs and 10 districts, 50 states, 2,000 clubs, we're looking at a fair chunk of change. So are they going to be able to budget $5,000 or $10,000, whatever the number is? I don't know. But
yeah, I mean, yeah, not all districts are going to want to do that. They're not ready to do that. They haven't reached the level to do that yet. Some of them will kick in as time goes on. But for example, if I get a call from the FAA and says, "Can you be up in Vermont this weekend? We have a big event going on over there." This happened, and I had to bring 4 people up there, and we stayed in there. We managed to see thousands of people. It was a great event. And when those come up, there should be a process. And I know Rich is going to say that should be brought up before the council, and it should, I guess. But the fact is that most districts aren't at that level and ready to do it yet. So I would think that on a district basis, people should have a way to apply. I would apply to headquarters and say, I just got a call. I can participate in this event. Here's what the value is. Can you give us something so we can go to that event and be able to participate as an active group? And you should see some of the beautiful stuff FAA is bringing in.
well, I mean, I
you know,
understand what you're saying because, and I'd like to understand more about it. And I'd like to take that offline, maybe one-on-one, and you can show me that FAA partnership you're talking about. I'd like to learn about that and add that to this plan. I think that's another best practice we can pull in.
all right,
But I agree with the statement, no bucks, no Buck Rogers, as somebody just posted. But, what I used to tell my clients when I was a consultant, sometimes you got to spend money to make money, or if you get cheap, you're never going to get there. Okay. Other feedback. I mean, I'm open to any kind of feedback. And hey, Feist, you have this big gap in the plan. Just what else do we need to go through here? And I'll make this presentation available, the value prop. And as soon as that toolkit's up and running, Andy will get it to you to get out to your team.
Any of my fellows want to pop in and have something to say? Darren?
I'll say something, Andy. So Mark, a couple of things. I've been voraciously writing notes myself. Most of this, obviously, we are very, very close to being mirror images. There's a couple of points that came up that are directly answered by our actual experience. One of them, and it's a hot button for me. It's been a hot button with me and Andy, with AVPs, with all our volunteer leaders, and it starts right at the VPs, and it answers to Barry's issue and others. And it's time to look in the mirror and say, what are we dealing with here? You dealt with it when you talked about the websites and the Facebook groups at the different district levels. You're experiencing it by the number of VPs who have offered to give you meetings so far. So I've always been an advocate of when you have a volunteer that's going to volunteer for a role, it's a volunteer job. So expectations are part of that. And mentoring is part of that. And goals are part of that. And I think AMA largely has really dropped the ball on really giving our volunteer leadership a really good path. I know there's documentation out there to beat the band, but they're losing the message, because if they weren't, you would have a lineup of meetings right now, and you would have 11 active district websites, and you would have several more district outreach teams, because they would be picking up the message that we need to do something. We didn't just come up with this on our own. This was initiatives brought up in 2018 that resonated with our district. And we said, we got to do something about this. And we did. Now, we're not special. It just resonated with us. Why did we do that? Because we have a group here that understands the mission. And I think we have a large group of volunteer leaders who have volunteered for a role. They haven't been awarded a reward. We have plaques for that. Give them a plaque. Don't say you've been a great member all these years, so now you're an AVP. Say, do you want to be an AVP and actually help us do something? Or be a VP and help us do something? Not give us a shirt and a hat and go to a club and fly your model. Say, here is your role. And Andy argues with me, say, well, we're going to have a lot walk away. I would much rather have fewer, more active than more inactive.
Absolutely. 100%. 100%. And
Thank you, Darren.
Darren, you're preaching to the choir 100%. Rich was in the meeting, so he knows that I said this stuff. I was in executive council and other meetings where they said, well, leader members aren't involved. And I go, have you ever asked them to be involved?
Right.
What have you actually asked a leader member to do?
Yep.
And I go to these big aviation events from coast to coast, and I find leader members, and I ask them, hey, what has the AMA ever asked you to do as leader member? Nothing.
Every we sent about a message out to him about twice in the years and 20 years I've been on.
What my friend John Yasamidis commented on, a PR representative at the clubs, that by definition in our documentation is a leader member. But they don't know that. They don't know that.
If I'm looking for a new AVP, I should be able to go to my leader members to get them. Instead, what we do is we find someone that's passionate, and I can look at people that are our best AVPs on the screen now, and we made them a leader member in order to make them an AVP, but they didn't apply for leader membership because they didn't see it. Even though if you look at the document that we have and it describes the role of a leader member, you would tend to think these are the guys I got to go to. Well, the fact of the matter is you're wasting your time. If you expect to get it out of the leader members, you're better off finding the passionate people in the district that love volunteering, that want to be intro pilot instructors, that want to get out there and do it. And when you find them, that's who becomes the AVPs. That's why I say that center core of district AVPs has more. Now, if you can get leader members to move in that direction, I was looking at the leader member chart and the responses they gave to some questions when they were asked, and the same held true for the intro pilot people. Some of them said they're getting too old, they couldn't do it anymore. What do we do? I'd love to see more intro pilot instructors. Is there ways to incentivize them? Is there a way to make some of the people we need be more receptive to realizing, boy, we could use you? And when we find these guys, they're like gold in our hands. I mean, they come to our events and they do it locally, and they'll, so it's hard to ID them. And sometimes it's by accident. It's nice in our district because it's small, so we get to see people. Larger districts, I don't know how someone, for example, Barry there, and in Nevada, I don't know how they can do it there. Here we have a connection because we're for 100 miles from my house is almost every member. So
right. So yeah, geographic, the tyranny of distance, as they call it, is a real thing.
Yeah,
out west,
Now our ADOT was a workaround to try and fill the leader member role that you're trying to fill. We went out and sought out club members who were very motivated to do different things to get out into the public beyond their clubs. They go back to their clubs, they have a great time at their clubs, but now they come and join us, and now they bring that back to the club and they talk about it. Ed is a new member. Joel is a new AVP. Doug is a new AVP, because Andy and I plucked them from the crowd saying, this guy's got potential. It has to work that way, unfortunately, right now, because the leader members don't know what to do. They're not bad people. They just haven't been given proper expectations and training. They haven't been a retreat.
So to kind of wrap this up here in the next 6 or 7 minutes, I would really like if somebody could send me the latest version of your District 1 flyer.
It's
We
on,
can
it's
provide
on
that
the
with-
chat right now.
Okay,
It's in the chat.
could you just send it to me in an email?
Oh, sure.
Because if I go in and start downloading things from the chat while I was hosting, I might screw up. But and then you go by Doug or Douglas?
Doug. Doug's fine.
Doug. So Doug, I might reach out to you about the video, and
Yeah, and
I have in my
Mark,
mind
I wanted
something
to
similar
I'm not
about this
gonna-
growth and retention plan would be really cool.
Absolutely. I'm a self-taught videographer and video editor, so I'm happy to learn anything. If you have questions, let me know.
Yeah.
And I do want to I'm not going to waste everybody's time here, but I didn't know anybody in this meetings a year and a half ago. You've heard my story as a model aviation pilot. I fell off because life happened, and I was a kid, loved it, middle age, started to get into work. Other things took over, and then I got back into it, but I couldn't find it. I could not find a club. I looked on AMA and I said, "Oh, there's a bunch of clubs around, but they all have different specialties." And I was out of touch. The last time I flew was glow. So I had to learn about electrics. But anyway, I reached out to a local event who was a fundraiser, saw his thing on Facebook and said, "Hey, do you need some help down there? I'm a drone pilot." And he said, "No, but maybe I can connect you with Darren. He's an AMA guy and he does the model aviation thing. So maybe you two can get together and figure something out." And for him, we do 10, 12 events a year. And those are most of the shots you see in that video are from his nonprofit events. And that's what sucked me in. I was an AMA guy. I've been a member since I was 14 years old, but couldn't find a club. It took meeting Darren and then meeting Wayne at one of these events, this team right here, that got me to a club, which is what our goal is. And I was educated about it. So I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of someone who's never been around it and see what the easiest path of least resistance for them is. And I think it's meeting people. And that's what we do. We go out and meet people. So
Yeah,
I think it's a big asset. That's what I mean.
Yeah, and in the club toolkit, one of the first things you're going to have is how to be a welcoming club.
Yeah.
I hate to say it's that simple, but we did get some feedback from exit interviews that the communication team has done and people who have left the AMA. And one of the reasons they give is I joined a local club, but they weren't welcoming. I didn't feel welcome.
That's part of our team's drive right now too, is get individual names of people at clubs. Maybe it's not the whole club, maybe it's the people you met that day. It's a crapshoot. So we're trying to narrow it down as best we can for you guys so that when you say, "Hey, we got a new member, he's looking for a club," call Darren, call Andy, call me, call John, call Joel. These guys are going to say, "Yes, come to the field. We got you." And I think that kind of streamlines it a little bit. It helps. It definitely helps.
And it's this email campaign, the new member journey that Kenny mapped out. And I didn't bore you guys with it, but we actually put together a flow chart.
That's fantastic.
Kenny worked on it and then he ran it by me. And we've actually put together a flow chart that says, if they answer this, then we'll send them that. If they say this, then we'll send them this. And it's very purposeful. And Kenny did an amazing job, Kenny Cassidy on staff, of laying out those emails depending on how they answer a question. And we just kind of nudge them towards. So now we got over 60% of new members joining clubs.
Hey, Mark,
that's good.
Is that the next generation of the welcome program? Is that where that went?
I don't know what the welcome program was, but
the welcome program was Kenny's first go at it, and it
then yes,
involving and we were fully supportive of that, and then we took it and ran with it, and we were ready to go again. He says,
the phone calls
database isn't available.
Yeah, phone calls, emails.
Yeah, the phone calls and emails by the AVPs out to the people who joined.
Right.
And I'll be honest with you, some districts are going to pick that up again, start making those phone calls in addition to this email campaign. But yes, Darren, that is the next generation.
Yeah, we were all ready to go with that, and Kenny told him we were having fun working with him, and he said, not enough VPs were interested. Goes back to my previous point. But
the executive council put a pause on it.
Before it even had a chance to run.
And I think it was, you can opt in if you want, you can opt out if you want. It wasn't necessarily across the board, no, we're not going to do it, but it sent the wrong message and most districts dropped it.
I will add the reason on the email journey. Does that journey transition through the district? In other words, does it enter the VP? Does it enter the AVPs, or does it go directly over them to the clubs?
It goes to the member who joined.
Yep.
And then it sends them to the club finder and then ask them if they need any help navigating it. And then that person has to join a local club as they see fit.
I would ask and I would recommend and suggest that based on what you've seen on that video and what you're hearing from us here, is somewhere in that journey, it needs to go through the VP, the AVPs and the VP to
See, I don't
connect
think we
us.
can see. Look, I'm just gonna be honest with you guys. You can't do that. You can do that in District 1. Eventually, we're going to be able to do that in District 3. We can't do that in any of the other districts.
Right.
The AVPs and VPs aren't going to act on it.
And especially
Yeah.
when we have you mentioned the retention rate for clubs, or leading members to clubs went up 40%. It's pretty impressive data to make those types of changes.
The problem
I'm
we
not
had
saying
with
directly, Tyler. I'm just saying include us in the loop. In other words, a CC.
Okay.
Oh, I see what you're
So
saying.
we
I
know-
thought
Okay, we can talk to
okay.
Kenny about that.
Yeah,
can
I
talk
thought
to
you
Kenny
meant
about that
kind of
one, Darren.
taking over.
Oh yeah. I wasn't saying
Yeah,
replace. I was saying just let us know. We want to know because maybe we want to contact them and say something to them.
the problem we had with the welcome program is that people don't answer phone calls when they don't recognize who it is. So we dropped that and we went into a welcome letter. The welcome letter provided to each person that got it a nice amount of information. It introduced to them who we were, who the district was, where they could, and we gave them the key points. We said, here's AMA's website, here's the AMA District Club Finder, here's the FAA approved FRIA sites, here's our AMA other channels, our Facebook group, here's our district trifold. And we told them the thing, and then we made it come from the AVPs that surrounded that particular guy or girl who just came into the AMA. And that at least made a connection. And then we even said in there, if you'd like, here's a PDF. You can create a document here, the trifold that we have, and keep it with you. If not, we'll send you with the nice copy we got done in the glossy, hard copy type of material. And but that's where we had success, and we were able to make for the months we were getting the listing. And then they cut off the listing, or I would have still been doing it now. And here's their copy of the letter we sent to them. Wonderful letter. And we've got responses that from these new people.
And
but
based on CCing us into the email journey, we can still integrate what Andy just talked about.
I'll have to talk to Kenny about that and the membership team on staff. And Tyler, you might be able to speak to this better than me, but I do know that sharing any kind of PII has some level of pause to it. So, and I don't know if emails is part of personal identifiable information.
Yeah,
so
we
can't
have
share
that
phone
question
numbers or
in to
anything.
the IT department. I know marketing does, so we'll have to get that answer and get back to the districts.
One last thing for me, and Doug touched on it, and Andy just talked about the club finder, and we talk about the club finder. What we have found, and it talks to your welcoming club. We were using the club finder, and what we found is we did all this work ahead of time. We got the introduction, we got them excited, and now we send them to an arbitrary club finder that sends them to Club X and member XYZ, and it is a crapshoot because that member might be welcoming and that member might not. So we said, how do we get a direct contact for them to say, if you're going to this club, we want you to call this guy, or this guy, or this girl, and they'll help you. So we have a known element on the end because we've had some horror stories, as we all know, and that can ruin one person at the fence line can ruin everything we're trying to accomplish, which is sad. Very sad.
I agree with you. And one of the things that I'm going to put in the next steps for the club level of this presentation. So this is the district level. Next is the club level. We want all elected club officers or that somebody designated from the board of directors to go out to the club finder and go out into the club portal on the AMA site and make sure it's up to date. And when I hear club members I've had a number of people across the country say, well, the information in my club isn't accurate. That's your fault. That's nobody else's fault but yours.
Expectations.
So get somebody to go out there and fix it. So
Mark,
anyway.
do we have your email address? I was trying to send you something and I didn't get it to you.
Yeah, it's on Andy's invite, but also it's
Oh, okay, I got that.
It's mfeist329@gmail.com.
Okay.
It's also in model aviation under District 3.
Yeah, I looked there. I must have got the wrong one, but anyway, because I have a million things. But
If you have a million things, then send them to Tyler.
I sent him. Well, I sent 2-3 years ago. I sent a list of things to Chad, but he's on his way out the door there. So I will send
I'll do
it.
my best to absorb
I'll
this
send it to
our working group.
I'll send it to Tyler.
I was kidding. I was kidding.
SRM. So
Barry, I was kidding. You send it to me.
All right.
You sent it to me. I was kidding about sending it to Tyler.
Okay.
Tyler has 100 new things a day.
Tyler's good. I know he does. He's a busy guy. So
Yeah, well, Mark's been busy too. I want to thank him. He's been doing these presentations multiple times a week. He has put a tremendous amount of energy and effort into this project, and is doing a phenomenal job. As you guys seen, he's put a lot of thought and effort into this. So I just want to thank him for all the time that he's dedicating to AMA and this new initiative.
yeah, and thank you, Andy, for keeping me on the loop here, way out in the west. So
yeah, and I will say that appreciate the feedback, Tyler, and the compliments. People ask why I'm doing this. It's real simple. I used to go to the Flying Circus Air Show in Cincinnati in the 60s and 70s with my dad. As soon as I had enough money, I joined the club. Been flying models joined the club in 79, been flying models since 1980. Both my boys latched onto the hobby. They're both still build and fly scale airplanes. My older son's a aeronautical engineer, aerospace engineer, actually at Raytheon, and still builds and flies scale models. And my younger son's a F-16 fighter pilot, captain in the Air Force, mission commander. And he's actually on his way to fighter weapons school, which is the Air Force's version of Top Gun. So, and, frankly, he helped save my dad when my mom passed away. My dad got into the hobby. So I got all kinds of reasons why this hobby's been amazing. And, it's turned, both my kids became very successful. In fact, my younger son told me one time he's doing really good in high school and college. And I go, it just seems so easy. He's like, once you really learn attention to detail of building an airplane, building a model airplane, the rest of this stuff is pretty easy. Like, oh, okay.
We just captured that in this video recording. You're going to be the testimony we put in the next video. Great story. Good.
Well, Mark, I want to thank you very much for coming out here. I want to thank everybody for attending, and I hope you all got something out of it. I think these guys have heard me going at it for years now. I think we're finally turning the corner, and it's refreshing to see. Andy and I have been pushing this messaging for close to a decade, and it's nice to see some of it coming back. I think there's potential. I think a lot of these things are all tied together. Our next effort, just so you know, is video and testimonials. We want to get testimonials from our ADOT members. We have one of our guys said, I'm going to remember this for the rest of my life. And that is the passion that we're offering them through a district team, is they can have just another element of their passion, their hobby to enjoy. And it really resonates and it gets the message out there. So
absolutely. I mean, I wrote down a number of best practices coming out of this district that I'd like to weave back into this. So
we'd love
did everybody give my email responses to Joan?
Yes, I saw those, and that was great. And
I'll reply to all in that group, because what I did is I took out the 10 emails that were rejecting.
Yeah, mine were bouncing, so I tried to reply all a couple times, and they were all bouncing. So
so I'll reply to that one, put a new heading in. I'll attach this presentation. I'll attach the value prop in the flyer, and you guys can take a look at the next steps page and look forward to additional feedback. And I think merging what we're doing here, merging with your ADOT concept and your more detailed flyer, I think that creates a full picture. So
That's all we've been looking for, Mark. So thank you very much for generating that.
thank you, guys. This is a great call. I really appreciate it.
I have a
Yeah.
question. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Go ahead, Bill.
My name is Bill Allen. I'm newly elected in May, president of the Nutmeg Flyers in Connecticut. And I never got a survey. And it could be it took me 6 months to get my name added to the AMA list. It's like pushing on a string. So is there any way I can answer your survey? And the reason I want it is based on the answers in that survey, your website might not point to ours. So
I'd recommend that you go out to modelaircraft.org, go under About AMA, Contact Staff, okay? And then go to Communications, Rob Curick. Click on his email, send an email to Rob Curick. If you don't have Outlook, you can simply right-click on the email and say Copy Email and just paste it right into your whatever email tool you have.
So the name is Rob Curick, and
Rob Curick under Communications.
Okay.
So if you go to About AMA, go under
His email
Contact
will
Staff.
just be robk@modelaircraft.org.
Okay. Thank you.
That's even easier. But
I'm all new to this, but I see what you're trying to do, and it looks like you've put an incredible amount of work into it. On the other hand, nobody wanted to be the president, and I volunteered. And I think our club has a little, it's like going back 50 years. We aren't like the other clubs for whatever reason. And I don't really want to change some of our practices, but I hear the lack of being welcoming. I've heard that as a complaint at our club. I had problems with that in the beginning, but I don't want to. Our club pretty much operates by volunteers, and in no way do I want to upset that. Other clubs have, an 18-page new student pilot program. You got to pass a test. Our club is, you find a mentor, and I bought an apprentice. I became a member of the AMA. I became a member of the club, and the mentor was excellent. We have a few of them, but if you look at our club's website, we have no instructor pilots. And part of that might be, a couple of years ago, I was going to bring my grandsons and Cub Scouts. I was involved in it. We were going to bring Cub Scouts to fly model airplanes. The date was set. And then somebody said, well, what about the instructor pilot program? And all of our officers went silent. And I said, what's that? And not a word. And then I looked into it and I discovered, I can designate instructors. I don't know if people want to be that, but the hard part was you got to fill out a form for each person that's going to be flying on a buddy box, and send it in. And I think that I don't think anybody wanted to deal with it.
Yeah, that's the introductory pilot program. And the reason you have to fill out a form is if that person wants 3 months of free membership, you got to have a process to manage that. You can always put an instructor program in place in your club without people being AMA introductory pilots.
But we have it. There's 3 or 4 people. Is it written, cast in concrete? With our bylaws, I don't know. I'm still getting familiar with our bylaws, but I don't think there is anything formal for it.
But if a person wants to be an AMA introductory pilot, that gives them the opportunity to fly a person a few times, fill out the paperwork, and that person can get 3 months of AMA membership. and just kind of tries to keep them close to the hobby.
And I think
That's
when the
a program
officers,
you can opt in or opt out.
at any rate, when I don't think that's the part that's why they went silent. They didn't want to talk about it.
Okay.
And the process, the way I have solved the problem is I joined the AMA. I'm insured. He's insured. Everybody's insured. And I think that's the way most people do it. I'm not there all the time, but uh, I mean, I can designate people as instructor pilots because I'm the president. But filling out that form for 20 people, yeah, I understand the benefit to it, but for flying on a buddy box, on an apprentice or whatever, it's pretty hard to hurt somebody.
But again, you don't have to have your instructors don't have to be AMA introductory pilots.
Yeah, because if you read the AMA rules that you're supposed to follow, none of that is in there. I'm not going to list what they are, but it doesn't say you don't teach somebody to fly without being, an introductory instructor pilot. There's a list of rules in one of your safety manuals. I can't remember what it was, but it's like 10 things long. Flying, within FAA guidelines and 55-pound weight, unless you're
well, hopefully we'll make that stuff a lot more accessible through the club toolkit, and
I think so.
Easier to find. Yeah.
Yeah, I see your little brochures and stuff. I think that's all great. I won't take up any more time. I'll contact the AMA communications person. I'd like to fill out that survey. Mostly just so that I don't want our club excluded. In fact, I think people join our club because there is an 18-page instructor manual for each person, and once you pass the test, then you got to get voted on by the members. As long as you're a member of the AMA, you can fly at and you're a guest, you fly at our site. Anyway, I'll be quiet. Thank you for your time.
Hey, Mark, there's one point I didn't add, and it's important, and it's a part of the education piece for outreach. And it's the middle schoolers, 4th through 9th graders, what I call the pre-drivers. And I've been trying for over a year to get accurate numbers and the status of the mask program. I want to know how many masks are out there active right now, and I'd like to know who they are so I can contact them, because every time I've tried to do it, there's always hurdles, either from the teacher's point or from headquarters point, but I've never successfully gotten a mask going. And that is a great conduit between the schools with these pre-drivers, get them into it, then they leave. Now you've got the teachers, the students, and their parents connecting now to a local club. And that's the other end of it. And I have not gotten anything from Kyle.
We've ran into issues with even sharing the mask data with the FAA. We've recently had some schools write us, including the FAA in the communications, and saying, remove us from this database. Our information is not to be shared.
And that was one of the big hurdles, Tyler. And so how can we make that easier? How can we do that?
I'm not sure we can if it's the school's policy not to have that type of information shared.
What we can do is we can ask the school.
Right. If we go directly to the school and say, hey, look, we have, a district leader that wants to improve the educational programming. Are you okay with us sharing your information? And if they say yes, then at that point we could, obviously.
Yeah, or even probably better would be, can this district AVP or VP or leader member come and talk to you, Mr. and Mrs. School Administrator, and talk about how we can add value, and then let them approach us, say, yeah, come in and talk to us, and then open up the doors that way instead of the other way around.
We've got
I don't think they're ever going to let us contact the kids directly.
But I've got STEM teachers ready to go, and he hasn't been able to break the barrier to get good guidance from headquarters to do this.
Yeah,
from AMA headquarters.
We have so few. Even FRIAs, they wouldn't apply for FRIA status because they didn't want their school on a public database.
So
to have that information. You had to have a point of contact, share their information, and they wanted no information shared outside of AMA.
then we need to fill that hole, Tyler. I don't know whether it's engaging the local clubs to fill that hole, but we need to capture those kids in those programs, because we have a teacher that just signed up for UAS for STEM with fourth and fifth and sixth graders early. So he's been doing this for 4 or 5 years, but he's got no club to attach it to. He's got us, but that's it. So there's a hole, and we lose those kids. So we got to try and figure out some way to fill. And if the mask isn't a doable program, let's get rid of it. Let's get it off the website, because it's not a good tool. It's a hammer without a handle. Come on, let's get rid of it.
I think that we have some hurdles that we have to jump through to vet the people that are reaching out and that type of thing. But I think it's doable. It's just going to take some work on our end.
Yep. Anything we do with relating to headquarters, with getting people engaged, educators, local communities, fundraisers, it's got to be an easy path, because all the hurdles that I've had, that doesn't give the retention. It doesn't give the entrance. It's got to be an easy entry. Plug and play. So,
all right. Any other comments, feedback? I can hang on for a few more minutes.
I don't know if you saw the notes in there. I just wanted to clear up that intro pilot program. I'm sure Tyler can jump on this one too, but I believe the intro pilot program alleviates liability from the instructor in the club, and it's a waiver that the student signs. So you can go ahead and teach if you want, but you still you could potentially have some liability if you don't just apply for the intro pilot program.
It is, yeah, and it covers us with some laws also. When the law was passed, it originally didn't include educational programming. That had to be done under Part 107, and AMA worked to change the law, and it now says as long as you're within the safety programming of a community-based organization, which is at the national level, that safety programming, the introductory pilot programming is that recognized safety programming that allows educational type operations to take place under recreational rules.
So
it's kind of two parts. You're right, John. It does protect liability wise, but also allows you to follow the federal law.
Right, because it's a 107.
John, we have vicarious insurance, so anybody doing that kind of activity, either instructing, checking an airplane out, acting as a safety officer, are all covered under that. So and they're covered primary.
There is the element that students are not old enough to sign off themselves, so now you need to involve parents. The teachers can't sign off. It has to be the parents. So there's an extra element there.
Yes.
Yeah. So, all of our instructors in my local club we're a big teaching club. We're all intro pilots. I signed everybody up, and I believe just about everybody on the ADOT team is. If they're not, it's very simple. I mean, it's worth doing just to have it. Plus, you get a new membership card with your name on it. It says intro pilot.
Well, gang, we are at 8:21 now. We went over a little bit. I think it was very valid to go over. It's been a good discussion, and I'm going to stop the recording right now.